My pleasure to welcome to the studio Paul Rawson. Paul, kia ora, thanks very much for joining us in the studio today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
It is. You and I were chatting during Rhema's Momentum Appeal. You're one of the volunteers at the call centre. We got chatting about life and faith and all sorts of things. And I thought, you know what, I'd love to bring this conversation into the Rhema studio. So thank you for your availability. For people who are listening to this on radio, one thing that won't be immediately apparent is, I say this in the right way, Paul, you're not quite all there when it comes to how many limbs that you have.
I like it.
I know you can handle the joke, so I do mean that respectfully.
Sure.
You've got a bit of a story which led to an amputation and significant changes in your life. Invite us into that story. What were the circumstances that led to that, Paul?
So basically, I had I started to feel unwell there at one time. This was, we're talking Christmas 2019.
Okay.
If you can remember back then.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Before the world changed a little bit. And I wasn't feeling well, and I was there for about 4 days, and I had a bit of a blister on my foot that was looking not great.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor. The doctor prescribed me some pills and told me to come home.
Yeah.
They dressed my foot and they said come back in 2 days. So went back in 2 days, and they took the dressing off, and it was apparent that there was a significant problem that needed to be dealt with. So from there, they sent us straight to the hospital, and they were basically waiting for theatre space to amputate. Yeah. It was that quick.
So it was an infection. It was a septic ulcer. If they didn't act quickly, you wouldn't be here today. Basically.
Yeah, I didn't have an hour left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there is grace in that story, but also a tremendous shock. There's loss. There's grief. There's an adjustment. What was that like for you, Paul?
Yeah. I thankfully, when you have hope in your heart, these things, they don't have the effect that you would think sometimes.
Yeah.
I woke up very positive, which makes no sense.
Yeah. Peace that passes understanding, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good example.
Yeah.
There's two ways that I could have gone, and thankfully, by the grace of God, I was just happy to be alive.
Wow. Yeah.
I was happy to be able to continue to take the second chance that I had in that moment.
I mean, there is a lot of grace in that story, but also perhaps understandably in the stages of grief, times where you can be angry at medical people that got things wrong, or angry at God as to why me, why this happened. Was that a part of the process and the way in which you responded, or mostly been grateful for God, let's move forward?
Yeah, I was grateful to be alive, as I say. Those questions that you were talking about, they didn't come initially. I was just looking to get back on my feet, so to speak, and get on with life. But there is question. It's like, what happened there?
Yeah.
Where is God in this? What are the answers to these questions that I don't quite know yet? But I'm just thankful to God that he led me through, that there was people that come alongside me that were in my, they were there to help me, but also people on the journey that helped me to process things. It's just, God was there all the way through.
As much of a mental, spiritual journey as a physical one in some ways?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was pretty ready to get up and go. Like I have a window cleaning business. Okay. And I've got photos of me in my work gear in a wheelchair, ready to go and clean the windows.
Wow.
I didn't want to let my customers down.
Yeah.
Couldn't have that.
No, very cool.
Which, looking back, was probably a bit of madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I say to customers that they're still with me, I say to them, look, thank you so much for allowing me to get on with my life.
I love you gave me one of your business cards and it says undefeated life, pun intended. actually, and I really love that, and I really love I suppose the spirit of that. Now you have a prosthetic leg, you are able to mobilise. Are there things that you can no longer do that you wish you could do? Is there anything that you miss about the changes that have happened?
Probably running.
Yep.
Is not something that I would sign up for going forward.
Personally, I wouldn't anyway, and I've got two good legs.
So yeah, I think you're talking about, do I consider myself disabled? In some senses, I am disabled, but like I think that we need to remember to see ability, to see the best rather than sometimes seeing disability and inability. And I think we need to be careful when we see people, what we actually see and what's in front of us.
I mean, to be honest, you've got a distinctive look, and that's not the first thing that I see. I had a long conversation with you the first time we met, had no idea that you had a prosthetic leg, and that was not the basis in which we engaged. But for people that meet you for the first time, there is a little bit of a, oh gosh. How do people respond generally when you meet them, Paul?
My favourite part is when it comes to that is coming across children.
Oh yeah.
They're the best. Like, their favourite word for my leg is that it's a robot leg. So
cool.
that's what I've adopted.
You're kind of cyborg, really. There's a coolness to that, right?
We'll work with that. How's that? Yeah. So yeah, but then adults, like, generally, like, you can see, like, there's a curiosity.
Yep.
Where people sort of have questions but don't ask. That might be the Kiwi thing.
What would a better response be from your point of view? How would you like people to respond? What would you like people to know about life from your perspective, and how they should or shouldn't respond?
I would suggest that people just take a moment to maybe ask themselves what they might be asking. I'm actually pretty open. Like, people can ask me pretty much anything.
Yeah.
If it's done in the right way, if it's done in the right spirit, I'm totally okay with it. But for some people, you might be asking them about something that, I could have the perspective that you're asking me about the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So just be aware of what you might be asking, how you might be asking it. But for me, if it's done with an inquisitiveness, if it's done with a curiosity of wanting to meet you on some level as a person, I think that would be a good thing to go with.
Paul, thank you so much for, I suppose, your attitude, your openness. That the way in which you've responded, I think, is really helpful, not just for you, but for other people, and like trailblazing, I suppose, in a way of how we can better, particularly as faith communities, respond to people who have some extra challenges in life, such as yourself. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Yeah, no, pleasure. Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.